Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about bridging the gap in education when dealing with different adopters. Those adopters mean the people that are either all for new technology to help advancement, they're kind of in the middle on it, or they are very, very hesitant about new technology and implementing that new technology in their classroom or in their place that they're comfortable in. So first, we're going to talk about the different types of adopters. So we're going to talk about the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Personally, myself, I consider myself either an innovator or an early adopter. I am very excited when new technology is found, and I'm all for trial and error with it. I want to try it out. I want to see how it can help me in the classroom, how it can help my students. I definitely consider myself in between those two. So an innovator, they're the first individuals to embrace and experiment with new technologies in education. So they are willing to take risks and try out innovative tools or strategies before they are widely accepted or proven effective. The early adopters they closely follow the innovators and are quick to adopt new technologies once they see their potential benefits. They serve as opinion leaders within their educational communities and help spread awareness about the value of these innovations. Next is the early majority. The early majority represents a larger group of educators who are more cautious in adopting new technologies, but eventually do so once they see evidence of success from innovators and early adopters. Next is the late majority. So I see a lot of this in my current public school with veteran teachers or even newer teachers who are scared to try something and possibly messing it up or not being beneficial and then wasting their time. So I do see this in person as well. But the late majority, they consist of those who are skeptical of new technologies and may only adopt them once they have become mainstream or necessary for staying competitive in the field of education. And then lastly, laggards. Laggards are the last to adopt innovative technologies, often due to resistance to change or lack of interest in exploring new tools for teaching and learning. So I know that a lot of teachers who may be getting ready to retire, getting ready to leave the profession altogether, they don't care about the new technology. They know that they're not going to be able to use it. They have no interest in learning it. They don't want to waste their time. So I would consider them laggards or even late majority. They only do it if it's to keep their job, if they are staying in the field. So I have seen every level of this. It's interesting to see these levels and how these people how they actually adopt the new technology. I don't know if this is maybe a psychological thing from the past or not, but um, getting the confidence built in order to try out new things. So that's where I think a lot of this comes from. But I have seen every stage of this, and it is kind of neat to work with the laggards or work with the late majority, or myself being an innovator, early adopter, playing with a new technology, trying to show it to others. So it's interesting what people may fall into which category of adopter. So, as a leader, implementing educational technology changes in a system such as the schools or district, I would leverage the innovators to pilot new initiatives and provide feedback on their effectiveness. So, the early adopters would be key advocates for spreading awareness and promoting adoption among their peers. And lastly, the early majority would benefit from targeted training and support to ensure successful implementation across the system. So this excerpt from a journal that I did find and read through regarding the COVID-19 pandemic and technology and bridging the gap in that educational gap. It states that remote learning during the lockdown increased the attainment gap between students from different socioeconomic backgrounds. I currently work for a Title I school where a lot of kids they don't have internet access now. They did not during COVID-19. So their educational gap is huge. A lot of those fifth graders are at a first grade level, and it's not necessarily their fault. They didn't have the resources in order to, access that online learning to get in touch with their teacher. So a lot of that is definitely widening the gap, and it's becoming extremely hard to close. So it's very concerning as well. As far as the biblical perspective, Christ worked with innovators like Peter and John who were quick to follow him and embrace his teachings. He also engaged early adopters such as Matthew, who was a tax collector. who was open to change and become part of his disciples. Additionally, Christ reached out to the early majority through his parabolas and miracles. Sorry, I did not pronounce that correctly. And miracles, appealing to a broader audience and gradually gaining followers. All right. And then as a leader implementing technology changes, I would approach the late majority and laggards with patience, understanding their hesitance towards adopting new technology. I would provide them with personalized support and training to help them feel more comfortable and confident in using new systems. So another journal I found as well was discussing the gap in education on a different instructional level, a different level of how it affected the educational gap. So while some academics quickly adapted to the situation, meaning online learning, the others remained rather slow in this process, which resulted in differences in terms of achieving the expected benefits of online learning, both at the institutional level and at the departmental level or course level in higher education. So some of those laggards or late adopters or a late majority, some of those, since they kind of dragged their feet or they didn't have the resources in order to push that new technology during COVID, their students or their district or their community, I guess, that they're teaching, they did struggle and kind of get the short end of the stick on that. So that's why it's super important to approach those late majority and laggards with patience and understanding and giving them confidence to use this new technology by giving them the sufficient training, time to play with it. A lot of them have a lot of hesitance because they don't have time to actually go through it themselves and figure out the actual work process with the new technology. In the Bible, we see how Christ worked with those who were resistant to change or slow to believe. So in John chapter 20, verse 27 through 29, Jesus said to Thomas, "Stop doubting and believe." He acknowledged Thomas's doubt, but gently encouraged him to have faith. Similarly, as a leader, I would strive to empathize with the concerns of the late majority and laggards by also encouraging them to embrace technological advancements for the benefit of the system as a whole. All right, so in conclusion, leading an educational system in a way that models Christ is crucial because it not only promotes values of love, compassion, and forgiveness, but also fosters a sense of community and inclusivity among students and staff. By embodying the teachings of Christ, educators can inspire others to strive for excellence while upholding moral integrity and ethical standards. Ultimately, incorporating Christian principles into education serves as a powerful tool for shaping future generations with strong moral foundations and guiding them toward a path of purposeful living. So just a nice quote I found from Billy Graham, who is an American evangelist and ordained Southern Baptist minister and a civil rights advocate. He said that the greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or other material things accumulated in one's life, but rather a legacy of character and faith. And I think if we keep that in the forefront of our mind while doing new technologies, helping those late majority